All right, let's now get you some breaking news that has in fact just come in, where the Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal has been arrested by the Enforcement Directorate in the Delhi liquor policy case. This is what is unfolding at this moment right in front of Arvind Kejriwal's residence, where he was questioned for a period of about 2 hours. A 12-member team of the Enforcement Directorate had been questioning him, and it has now arrested the Delhi Chief Minister at his residence in North Delhi's civil lines. The ED team had reached his residence and begun questioning after the Delhi High Court had refused to grant Arvind Kejriwal any protection from arrest in the excise policy case earlier in the day. Now, a lot of Aam Aadmi Party supporters, the Aam Aadmi Party is the party that Arvind Kejriwal had founded. The members of Aam Aadmi Party have been sloganeering in front of Kejriwal's residence. Section 144 has also been imposed. But this, of course, is the big breaking development of the moment, where Arvind Kejriwal, the man who started his political journey as an anti-corruption crusader who entered into politics with the intention of cleaning up India's politics, has now been arrested by the Enforcement Directorate in an liquor excise policy case, which has been described as a pretty big scam. And this, of course, is huge in terms of the ramifications that this is likely to have on politics, not just in Delhi, but indeed across India, especially given the fact that the Election Commission just last week announced the dates for the general elections. And this is a huge development. Arvind Kejriwal, the man who said that he wanted to clean up politics in India as an anti-corruption crusader, and a decade later, since he had sat on that dharna along with the IAC, India Against Corruption, he has now been arrested by the Enforcement Directorate. And my colleague Siddhant is, of course, joining us with more details. Siddhant, this is huge. A sitting chief minister has now been arrested by the Enforcement Directorate.
Well, Mohammed, this is a political earthquake, to use the phrase, in many senses. But this was a day, perhaps, which was expected as well. In the past as well, the ED had issued summons. But now, of course, literally it's political news, biggest political news here in India. In fact, at the residence, we know several political workers have been gathering. And essentially, you have pointed out that how there was the hearing, and of course, when it comes to that, things did not go well for Arvind Kejriwal, and that is why the arrest happened. But essentially, we are now looking also towards 2 months of electioneering campaigning, and India goes to general election.
Right.
So how will it play in the entire scenario is something that will be closely awaited. We also know that the development came when around 7 p.m. local time here in Delhi, the ED teams reached Arvind Kejriwal's residence in North Delhi civil lines.
Right.
And the Delhi High Court had refused to grant him protection from the action in the excise policy case. And this is the 9th time that the Enforcement Directorate had summoned Kejriwal. I can tell you right now, we are getting forward with visuals of the security deployment in front of Kejriwal's residence as the activists continue to gather. In fact, Section 144 has been imposed by the authorities. That is, they should not be gathering of people there, more than 4 people. So essentially, security has been tightened. Section 144 has been imposed near Delhi CM's residence, and it looks like it is going to play out for next few days. We are now getting reactions as well, coming from not only his party, but other political parties as well.
Absolutely, indeed, Siddhant. As you put it, this is a political earthquake that has happened. Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal, the sitting Chief Minister, has, of course, been arrested by the Enforcement Directorate in the liquor policy case. And what also needs to be pointed out is that his case will be heard by the Supreme Court tomorrow. So there is no relief that Arvind Kejriwal can hope tonight. This case will, of course, be heard tomorrow. This is what is Team Kejriwal will approach the Supreme Court. There is no hearing tonight, is the latest bit of information on the legal aspect of this case. And to give us a sense of what's happening on the ground, I have my colleague Dharamjot Kaur, who's joining us over the phone line. Dharamjot, this is as big as it gets politically. Aam Aadmi Party will say that this is essentially a political witch hunt. Section 144 has been imposed. Give us a sense of what's happening on the ground at this moment.
Well, there is a great sense of turmoil and a lot of, activity happening near the CM's residence right now, Saleh. As you did point out, the police forces and Delhi security personnel have imposed Section 144. But in spite of that, there are a lot of party workers, a lot of supporters of the Aam Aadmi Party who are now gathering in large numbers to protest the Delhi Chief Minister's arrest. Now, in the legal front, you already mentioned that there will be no development overnight in terms of how the case proceeds, even though the Aam Aadmi Party has said that they will be taking the case to the Supreme Court tomorrow. But a lot of uncertainty in terms of how the political stability and the civil stability around Delhi will form overnight. We also saw some security personnel arresting a lot of party workers and supporters. There are also hundreds of people now on a sit-down outside the Delhi Chief Minister's house. So a lot of developments coming in terms of, how things are unfolding on the ground at the moment. But again, there is no legal update expected overnight. Of course, what happens with Arvind Kejriwal is something that we will have to wait for tomorrow. But the situation on the ground remains very active, and a lot of security personnel are therefore present near the Chief Minister's house.
Absolutely indeed, Dharamjot. Do continue to stay on with us. These are live images that are being beamed straight outside the Delhi Chief Minister's residence. And this, of course, is a big moment in India's politics. A sitting Chief Minister of Delhi has now been arrested by the Enforcement Directorate. And what is also important here to point out is that the Enforcement Directorate, in a press note earlier, had described Arvind Kejriwal as a conspirator in the Delhi excise liquor scam. And this is pretty big in terms of how things have, of course, moved, considering the fact that just a few days ago, the Bharat Rashtra Samiti leader K. Kavita had also allegedly conspired with Mr. Kejriwal and the Aam Aadmi Party leaders such as Manish Sisodia and Sanjay Singh while framing the now scrapped liquor policy case. This is what the Enforcement Directorate had said. And K. Kavita, the daughter of KCR, was also arrested. Now, this is a case that is going to have ramifications in terms of how things will, of course, play out politically, considering the manner in which the Aam Aadmi Party has dominated Delhi's politics over the course of the last decade. Ever since the Aam Aadmi Party contested the elections, they managed to sweep the legislative elections here, although the voters of Delhi have been pretty circumspect in terms of how they've voted. They voted for Kejriwal for Delhi, but for the central government, for the 7 seats that Delhi sends to the Lok Sabha, they have, of course, backed the Bharatiya Janata Party. Dharamjot, considering the timing, the Indian elections are to begin from the 19th of April. Today is, of course, the 21st of March. This is going to have big ramifications in terms of how the narrative of the issue of corruption will play out in these forthcoming elections.
Well, of course, Ale, we saw how when Arvind Kejriwal's political career began, it began with the entire movement of anti-corruption, many years ago. And after that, the Aam Aadmi Party, when it was formed, has seen a lot of consistent support in the national capital. But as you mentioned, with the general elections coming up and with how voters in India, especially in the national capital, vote in terms of, party politics and who they pick at the center, that is a very, very interesting dynamic at this point. However, now that the Delhi Chief Minister has been arrested, and especially when the Aam Aadmi Party leaders are quoting and saying that the Chief Minister is beloved in the capital, and he has a mass number of followers, so protests and backlash and a lot of criticism from the voters, from Delhi's people, is expected overnight. How that plays out in terms of the psyche of the vote bank is something that will be very interesting to watch in the coming days. Saleh?
Jyotkar, do continue to stay on with us. Let me, in fact, give our viewers an update in terms of how the Aam Aadmi Party is reacting to the fact that Arvind Kejriwal has now been arrested. Saurabh Bharadwaj, a minister in Arvind Kejriwal's cabinet, has now said that there is no plan whatsoever to change the Delhi Chief Minister or the party chief. He has, in fact, said that Arvind Kejriwal will govern from jail, and that stance by the party has not changed. This is a cabinet minister of Arvind Kejriwal stating that the Aam Aadmi Party will not replace the chief minister. Instead, we'll have a strange sort of a situation where the Aam Aadmi Party claims that Arvind Kejriwal will continue to govern out from inside of a prison. And my colleague Siddhant Sibil is still with us. Siddhant, we're looking at these pretty dramatic images where the supporters of Aam Aadmi Party have gathered outside of the residence of the Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal, who's now in the custody of the Enforcement Directorate. Give us a sense of how this is likely to play out within the Union Territory of Delhi. Delhi is India's national capital, but it also enjoys a very different sort of a political structure from the other states. How is this likely to impact the politics within Delhi?
Well, essentially, we'll get to know tomorrow. We do expect large-scale protests by the activists. It's going to be a long night, Mohammed. That is given the fact that a sitting chief minister has been arrested, and he will be spending, it looks like, his night in the jail as well. Political reactions we expect. How will the other political parties react is something that will be closely watched. Will the India alliance also react? We have seen the alliance facing its own contradictions. But for the opposition, this could be an opportunity to come together under one umbrella, even though the opposition faces the headwinds ahead of the elections in terms of their popularity. So will they use this as a card to use the phrase in terms of the elections coming is something that will be seen. But above all, the big focus for the AAP party will be how they see this entire development as. Will they create a martyr out of the entire incident, Arvind Kejriwal's incident, or will the ruling party, the BJP party, point out the issue of corruption and make, of course, him as a symbol of corruption, someone who fought against corruption or who started his political journey when it comes to fighting or using corruption as a big political issue almost 10 years ago. So there are several nuances to the entire development, but all in all, this one moment in Indian politics, in contemporary Indian politics, is going to play in a big way in next few days as India heads towards the general elections.
All right, so this is what the scene is like. There we see the drones which is being used, one assumes, by the Delhi police in a bid to carry out surveillance of the area in terms of the number of people who have gathered. Now, a lot of the Aam Aadmi Party supporters, we're given to understand, are still arriving near the Delhi Chief Minister's residence, and this is a big moment. It is a political earthquake and nothing less than that, considering that this is happening just a few days after K. Kavita, the daughter of KCR, was arrested by the Enforcement Directorate and then was brought to Delhi for hearing. Questions have also been raised about the hurry as to why was there such a tearing hurry for the ED to arrest Arvind Kejriwal. This is a sentiment that's been echoed by the Delhi Mayor, Shelley Oberoi, who said that the matter was anyway in the court. 22nd of April had been decided the next day. What was the hurry to arrest Arvind Kejriwal in this time? Now, for people who follow Indian politics, this is as ironical as it gets. For people who followed the Anna Hazare movement and the role that was played by Arvind Kejriwal in the Anna Hazare movement of India against corruption, Arvind Kejriwal started off as an anti-corruption crusader who wanted to clean up Indian politics, but then he made that decision of entering into politics, and some would say that he had a remarkable success because he became the chief minister in the election that he fought, and he won the election not once but twice as a chief minister. And now Arvind Kejriwal, the sitting chief minister, someone who started off as an anti-corruption crusader, has been arrested by the Enforcement Directorate in a case of liquor policy excise scam. Let's in fact listen in to one of the cabinet ministers of Arvind Kejriwal, Atishi Marlena, as to what she's had to say about the arrest and the manner in which the arrest actually was done. Let's listen in.
अरविंद केजरीवाल जी दिल्ली के मुख्यमंत्री थे, दिल्ली के मुख्यमंत्री हैं और दिल्ली के मुख्यमंत्री रहेंगे। हमने शुरू से स्पष्ट किया है कि अगर जरूरत पड़ेगी तो अरविंद केजरीवाल जी जेल से सरकार चलाएंगे। कोई भी ऐसा कानून नहीं है जो उन्हें जेल से सरकार चलाने से प्रोहिबिट करता है।
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.